Hey crafty people! Welcome back to my channel, and in case you're new here, I'm Sarah, also known as Craft Nerd because I'm a nerd who loves to craft. I do paper crafting, card making, junk journaling, and mixed media art. Let's get crafting! Welcome back! Today we are going to work on some DIY tape. And I think we're going to be doing 4 different kinds. That's the plan anyway. We're going to see how it goes. And I figured I'd start out with one that, you see all over the place, is the faux antiqued tape. And so what I have out right now, and sorry about the glare, but I'm using, this is transparent tape, and I've got, it's Scotch transparent tape. So you want to make sure it's the transparent tape. And I bought, I think it was either a 3 or 4 pack, and I still haven't gone through the first roll of tape yet, and I've made a ton of this stuff and used it for other things. So a little bit goes a long way. So let's start with this one. And what I've done is I stuck several strips. I got 1, 2, 3, 4 pieces on. This was something that was shipped to me via UPS that used the, they sometimes when you get packages, they just print off like the invoice on a piece of, on like label paper. And so I just peeled the label off, and then I've got paper that should let you peel up your tape, because you want something that the tape will stick to temporarily and then peel off. Now I have found with doing the alcohol tape, sometimes it doesn't peel off all the way, I think because of the reaction with the alcohol, but that's not a huge deal. But let me show you a few. So anytime I get something that's printed on like a label, I will save that paper so I can put tape on it. So here are some of the ones I have done in the past, and I do all sorts of colors because why not? It's a lot of fun. So for the first one, what we're going to use are some colors that are going to get you the more antique looking tape. So I've got out Rust, Butterscotch, got some Dandelion, Terra Cotta, and Carmel. So I'm just going to take my little alcohol ink blending tool, which is pretty much just a piece of Velcro on a tool and a piece of felt. And I tend to not buy the felt refills. I tend to just buy sheets of felt and cut them up because it's less expensive that way. So we're gonna grab the alcohol. Okay, so I've got some isopropyl alcohol in a little bottle here. I've also got some 91% isopropyl alcohol in a mini spritzer. There's also the alcohol ink blending solution, which I've said it before, I'll say it again, do not put that in a spritzer. You do not want to spray that because it has resin in it, so it will stick to everything, including if you breathe it in the inside of your lungs. So no blending solution in a spritzer, but isopropyl alcohol is fine. So let's start with some Rust. Do a few drops of the Rust, and let's put some Caramel. Maybe a drop of Dandelion, just to give us some lighter spots. And then I'm going to put a little bit of the alcohol on just to get it moving a little better. And we're just going to start. Here's one piece of tape, and I don't mind if I go over onto the other one. All right, that yellow is really taking over, isn't it? Which is all right, because what I can do is come back in with, let's add some more of the Rust in and just add more color. Let's add some more Caramel and some Butterscotch. Ooh. Definitely not going to add any more Dandelion. That yellow kind of took over. And let's toss in a little Terra Cotta. And I'm not bothered by the fact that, I got some on. Yeah, that yellow's still going strong. Wow. In fact, I can do a few drops just straight on. Do a drop of that. let's go. Let's actually just do a drop of rust, drop of caramel, drop of caramel. Let's toss in a drop of Terra Cotta. Let's just kind of blend those around. Let's do our last one, and I'm gonna bring in a little mushroom because everything's better with mushroom. Let's just add a dot or two of mushroom to the pad and see what we get when we go on. Oh, I like that. So there we go. These are kind of your grungy, vintagey kind of colors. And I actually think I may take, let's see if I've got something that will write on this. Try a ballpoint pen. And because I've noticed, I go back to look at the ones I've done already and I don't remember what colors I used. And I'm like, which colors did I use? So let's make a note of the colors. Just made a note that the Dandelion took over, so I know if I don't want it that yellow, not to do Dandelion again. So there's our first set of alcohol inked ones. Let me put caps back on. Yep. I'm just giving my tops a quick clean so they don't get cruddy. Next up, I've got some grays and like greeny gray. Like I've got moss, smudge, gravel, flannel, juniper, slate, which is a blue, wilderness, which is some green, and then of course mushroom, because I love the mushroom. And let's change our pad. And let's go, let's do all of the grays first. So I've got slate, no, gravel, smudge, flannel, and then I'm gonna add some mushroom, which I know is a little more brown, but everything's better with mushroom. One of these days I'm gonna get the giant bottle mushroom, I think. Ooh, I like that color combo. I really like that. All right, now for the next round, let's add some wilderness and moss and see what we get. No, we're gonna save the wilderness because I have a feeling it's gonna be a strong green until we get to the end. So let's go juniper and slate on this one, which I know is like a dark blue-gray. Ooh, I like that. I like that. Let's do one more. Let's add a little bit more. Do a dot of mushroom. That was slate. A dot of mushroom. A dot of flannel and smudge and gravel. And then put a couple dots of, this is the juniper. Oh, there's no tape up there. I really love these colors. I just love them. All right, now we're gonna add our wilderness and some moss. I may not have used the moss yet. This may be the first time I'm using the moss. Ooh, I like this color combo too. Ooh, I really like that color combo too. These guys are great colors. Now, you can also take your mister and do a spritz. Let's make sure I'm pointing the right way. Which will get you that. Ooh, that is way too much over there. That got misted way too much. I think I'm gonna have to come back and add more color into that one. There we go. All right, and what's really sad is I'm like, I love these colors. I want to play more with them. Oh, so there's our alcohol ink, faux antique, and just really cool tape. Next up, I pulled out, these are my cleanup tapes. And so when I print with my gel plate, if there's paint left on the plate that I don't want, I use a piece of the translucent tape or transparent tape to clean it up, and you get these really cool pieces of tape that you can play with. And I've kind of taped them to pieces of paper to keep track of them. And let's start with this guy. And I've got my Misty out just to help hold the piece in place, and hopefully it will stick to this mat. And I did get some more Staz On Ink, because if you watched, I know I used them in one of my mixed, or a couple of my mixed media March pieces, and I didn't have very many Staz On colors, and the archival ink did not dry on them. So I am gonna do this guy, and I'm gonna do some, it's Tim Holtz Stampers Anonymous Crochet Trim. Let's go with this one. And so I just want to stamp on a few of these guys to make them more interesting. And I've got Cloudy Sky, which should be a gray. Ooh, I like that. Definitely like the gray on the pink. Ooh, okay, so this is a bit of a problem. I'm transferring the paint back onto the mat in there. All right, let's clean that off. What we can do instead is put a piece of paper down. And just stick the tape to the paper. Let's see, let's do another piece with the lace trim. Let's see, I'm gonna grab a magnet. And let's do this one. We'll stamp it up here, and then we'll shift it and do another one. And I'm gonna go with the gray again. That did not show up as well, probably because this is a little bit darker than the pink one. Let's try going in with black. There we go, and let's shift this. And I think I'm gonna try, I think I've got Gothic Purple. Let's do a different lace trim for the very bottom section on this one. Let's try that guy. Ooh, I like that. Staz On usually takes a moment or two to dry. So let's set that off to the side. Let's shift gears, and I need to grab some stamps. Hold on. Alright, so I pulled out a whole bunch of Stampendous clear stamps that are really old, and they're all kind of like gears and clockworks. Uh-oh. That's not good. That is not good. Sticking that back down again. Make sure we're still lined up. Nope. All right, I'm just gonna have to redo this whole thing. Just running my hand on them so that they'll hopefully be less sticky this time. This is gonna be one of those projects that just does not want to cooperate with me, apparently. I think that we are close enough, and I'm going to try using Midnight Blue. Let's see how that comes out. Oop, that's a nice dark blue. And I'm thinking I might have a problem because I think these stamps are of different thicknesses, so they're not all gonna stamp at once. So that's gonna be fun. Because yeah, a few of them look thicker than the others. Yeah, that did not work very well because this did not cooperate very well. So we're just gonna set that one aside. And we're gonna try again. I think I may grab another magnet to hold the top down. And let's clean off the stamps. All right, take two. This is just not cooperating today. I think we're still in line. Yes, all right, let's try this again. All right, that did not work at all. Like, at all. Let's try something else. Let's see if we do individual stamping. Thinking the problem here is I'm using clear stamps and they tend to be on the sticky side, and that if I switched back to red rubber, that would work better. So I think that's what we're gonna do, and do a few more and then move on to our next type of tape. Okay, so I pulled out a bunch of stamps from Stampers Anonymous. It's Tidbits CMS 488, and we're gonna go ahead and stamp those guys, and hopefully they're gonna work better than what we've been doing. I'm trying to decide if I want to do blue again, or let's try doing Timber Brown. It did not stamp very well at all, but everything stayed in place so we can stamp again. Woo. I like that. That'll work. This one. I think I'm gonna grab a different stamp. Let's do this guy, and I'm going to stamp it with the brown, and we're going to stamp it once, and then we're going to come back in with something else in blue over top. So we're going to do this as kind of a background. That turned out kind of cool. And then I'm grabbing the light bulbs from the Professor CMS 373 and from Curiosity Shop 482. That's kind of cool. I like that. Here's what it looks like. That's cool. Okay, let's set that one aside. Now, in case I didn't say, the alphabet one came from Documented CMS 226. And for this one, it's really dark on this side, but it's a little bit lighter on the other side. So I think I'm gonna use that side. And because it's not the shiny side, we can use other ink. And I'm gonna try Picket Fence. And we're gonna see how this goes. It may not work. And I'm gonna grab this guy from Documented. And you know what, let's go ahead and use this one too. Ooh, I like that. Now let's hope it dries. So I'm gonna set that one aside, and we've got, I think, 2 or 3 more on this sheet. I figured I'd finish the sheet off. And then we'd move on to the other style. Yeah, I've got more of the pink ones, and I really like doing the lace on them. Let me just check and see what else I've got that might look cool on there. All right, I've pulled out Embroidery CMS 486, and we're gonna do that on there and see how that looks. Let's do that in the gray, because I really like how the gray looked against the background. So that's what it looks like, and that's really cool. I like that. All right, set that one aside. Let's use a different stamp from that set. Or actually, you know what? I was gonna try how this flower set looks on there. Just trying to decide what's gonna get the most discernible image on. Let's give this one a shot. Why not? See, and that's what it looks like. That's actually pretty cool. I like that. Let's stick that back down on the sheet. Okay, so I've got my last one from that sheet, and I've grabbed this one from Entomology, which is CMS 328, and I'm gonna try the Teal Blue. I don't know if it's gonna be dark enough. We shall see. It is, I just don't think I inked in the right spot for where we were stamping. I don't want to stamp down at the bottom. I'm trying to decide if I want to do a second layer or just leave it like that. I think I may just leave it like that. All right, so here are all of our cleanup tape. It's now even more interesting. I don't know that the white paint's drying. I feel like it's coming off on my hand still, and so it's probably not gonna dry, which makes me a little sad, because that'd be cool. Another alternative would be to stamp with paint, and if it all wipes off, I may do that. But yeah, so there we go. There's our cleanup sheet, our cleanup stickers from the gel plate. So we've got paint on it and stamping. Set that aside, and I'll get out the stuff for the next round. Okay, next up, I've got some medical tape. So this is the like paper tape you get for, you know, bandaging wounds. And I've put some on some paper that had a sticker on it. And we're gonna start with inking. And because this is a paper tape, it should take any of your inks just fine. And I'm gonna go Kitsch Flamingo. It's not taking much in the way of the pink. I mean, it's a little bit pinker. Let's just keep going. And next we are gonna do some backgroundy stamping on it. And I'm gonna use that same flower stamp. I grab a block and the mouse pad, stick that on there. We're gonna try some Versafine Clair Morning Mist because I want this to be backgroundy, so I want it on the lighter side. All right, that did all right. Let's stamp again down at the bottom. I'm gonna stamp over here to try and get a little bit more on there, so. Go. All right, so let's give that a second. I'm hoping it's gonna dry. Oh. Yeah, it seems to have dried. All right, great. Now we're gonna try stamping some butterflies. And I've got a couple Tim Holtz and some Stampendous ones. Let's try some of the Stampendous butterflies. I'm not very familiar with my Versafine Clair colors, so let's see what each of these does. So this one's Purple Delight, Charming Pink, Monarch. Monarch's a little dark, but I actually think I like the second generation of each of these better than the first. So let's do a couple Charming Pink butterflies. What we're gonna do is stamp, and now I'm gonna stamp. All right, so definitely need to go first generation when stamping on there because that went too light. Let's do one more time up there. That worked out better. Let's grab a different butterfly. Now I got a smaller butterfly. And another little butterfly. One more. All right, so we've got kind of a DIY washi, and let me come in. That pigment ink is never gonna dry over here, so that I don't end up getting ink on my fingers. So there we go, and when you want to use it, you can just peel it off. Let's take a little piece off, and I'll show you what we can see what it looks like on a piece of book page. Look at that, and you can see the book page through it, and probably should have left that butterfly to dry a little longer before I rubbed my finger over it. Yeah, that definitely looks like it's still wet. Yeah, I'm gonna leave it sit for a little while before I try using it, but you can see the words underneath. So it effectively acts like a washi tape, not quite as translucent as you'd get with a washi. Let's see what happens if we burnish it a little bit more. So yeah, it's a faux washi for you. You know, may not be as good as washi tape, but if you've got some medical tape, you can create your own washi that suits your project. And then we've got one more tape that I want to give a try. So I'll be right back once I get the stuff I need for that. All right, the next idea I saw someone do on YouTube, and I'm really sorry because I don't remember who it was. But we're gonna do essentially book page tape. And so I'm gonna take some translucent tape, stick it down on my book page, rub it down, and peel it up, and you're gonna peel off some of the print. And as with our other tapes, we can use Staz On to stamp on it. So let's pull a few more pieces off of this page. Don't push down too hard. And this is an antique book page. I will pull out something a little more modern, and we'll see how well it works on that here in a sec.
Now, obviously, this is not going to be very sticky anymore, so you're going to want to glue it down when you go to use it. It does make for an interesting background. I don't want to do something, try something else, and I put that up too high, and I didn't put it down straight. Oi. That's what I get for not fully paying attention, and what I think I can do is stick the spots that didn't get any book page down and fill up, maybe, sort of. There we go. What I do want to try doing, let's flip this over and grab a brush and a little bit of, let's go Uncharted Mariner. Ah! Oh no. It's stuck down in the wrong spot. All right, we're gonna. Oh, did not work. All right, so inking it does not work. But I wonder what happens if we ink that side. Can get a little bit of blue on there. All right, well, that's good to know. Inking does not work. Let me grab something that's newer and see how it works with that. Let's see what happens if we do a more modern book page. Now this is going to tear the page up on it, which is what I thought was going to happen the first time around, which actually, ooh, and go way past the tape, which is another way of doing this. So that doesn't, I'm not mad at that. I wonder what happens if we ink this one, if it'll work on the more modern book page. Let's see what happens. Again, it does not, the distress ink appears to serve as a bit of a resist to our tape. That one I think I'm going to just throw out. Let me try one more. All right, so this is a piece from a Reader's Digest. That worked and pulled up a good amount. And this is less slick. I think the problem with this paper, which is from Historical Review, is a little too slick of a paper. Like this is really slick too. This is from a Jane Austen book I picked up to alter. So let's see what happens when we do this one. Yeah, it's not pulling anything up. I wonder if we burnish it down a little bit more, if we can get it to like rip the page and stay stuck to the piece. A little bit stuck, but not much. Let's try again, see what we can get this time. Yep. A little bit, but not a whole heck of a lot. So the smoother your paper, the less likely it's going to work for this. Let's see, this is, I think, from Alfred Hitchcock, not Alfred, Edgar Allan Poe book I picked up. That I'm not sure how old it is, but it's definitely got that rougher textured paper. But it's not working either. Nope. I wonder if this tape, let's see if we can pull up some of this. So you're just gonna have to play around and try it out on some book page, because not all book page will lift up, but my antique book page definitely works really good for it. Alternatively, what you could do is stick it down and then cut it out, but then you might as well just use book page kind of thing. I like the distressed look you get from peeling it up, where it pulls off some of the what's on the page, but not everything. So yeah, that one I got a little bit. And then of course you could stamp on it using a Staz On Ink, because again, this is very, very slick. But there you go. We have done 1, 2, 3, 4 decorative tapes. Okay, so I got done and I realized what I did with the pulling the tape off the pages was not what I had meant to do with the book page. So yeah, let's do the thing I meant to do. And now for this, what you're gonna need is a double-sided adhesive of your choice. And you're gonna need to cut a piece off however long you want. This is 1/2 inch. I thought I had 1 inch, but I don't. So we're gonna do a skinnier tape. And what we're gonna do is put some book page on this. I've got some antique glitter. Which I'm having some serious trouble getting this on straight. We're gonna make sure it's on good. And of course I've now got a bit over there that's not covered because yeah, I was not being very good about lining up my piece. Let me try and find another small piece of book page. And this was the idea I think I saw someone do online. Oh, that is a piece of wax. All right. And then one more piece. Then we can trim off the excess. So we've got our tape, and then we can do some stamping. Grab a piece of paper because we're gonna get ink everywhere otherwise. And my mouse pad, which has disappeared. It is like a disaster area around me right now. What do we think the chances are I actually put it back? Oh, I actually put it away where it belongs. All right. And then we can do, you know what? I'm thinking I want to do, even though this book page, we're going to go scripty again. And I kind of like that color. Let's use the Staz On Teal Blue. And then of course you can do all sorts of additional stamping, or you can leave it just as book page, but that is another way to create decorative tape. And this is actually a tape that will then stick down on your page. Let's do one more. That worked a lot easier, and I'm just gonna burnish it down to make sure the book page is stuck on good. Trim it out. And you could, of course, do several pieces of tape across this page if you wanted to. And let's just do a little bit of inking, maybe. Go Uncharted Mariner. And then we can ink the edges with, say, Scorched Timber. And then you can leave it as is, or got tiny Toadstools CMS 337, and we can do a little bit of splattery stamping on it. And there you go, you got another decorative tape you can use, style of tape you can use on your projects. So we've got 5 decorative DIY tapes today. We've got the book page one. We've got the book page lift ones. We've got our cleanup pieces from our gel plate that we stamped on. We've got our faux washi that we stamped on, and then we've got our alcohol ink full faux antique tape. So that's all for today. If you enjoyed this video, please do all the things that lets YouTube know you enjoyed the video. Like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, leave me a comment down below. Thanks for joining me, and happy crafting.